And we're back once again playing No Uta. I'm Ashman and I'm with Kuxo.
Hello.
And we're back with our main man Yosuke. So I think what happened in the last game was so we had I believe it was Koji and Yo talking to the doctor for Fuminori, and they were trying to find out what was going on. They were telling her that, well, Koji was telling her that he's worried that he's done something with, I think it was
Omi.
Omi, yeah.
Omi.
And we found out that his medical records had been stolen, which we already know was done by Saya herself.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I mean, the thought of her traveling all the way there and back's an interesting thought. Uh, considering my suspicions about her, and just also the fact that she doesn't seem to be very good at like going places. And we're back now with Yosuke, who was the neighbor, I believe, who was
He was the OCD neighbor who suffered a terrible fate, or so we thought last time.
I think he was just kidnapped, basically, apprehended by, I think, Saya.
I mean, no matter what your kinks, I'm not sure if you want something going in your ears and your nose.
No.
So...
And as I said before, I've watched enough hentai to know where this is going. Now, I think, having seen the previous scenes where Saya was talking about having to, she's trying to figure out how to cure Fuminari. She's looking at the documentation and stuff, and she said that,
Fuminori?
oh
Whatever.
man,
I can never remember his name that well.
he is a forgettable character, even
I
considering
don't
he's the
think he's a forgettable
protagonist.
character. It's just his fucking name.
I think he's forgettable, man. He's just like a weirdo. I don't know. Like,
I don't think he's forgettable. He's got that fucking crazy disease. Or
yeah,
condition, rather. It's not really a disease. Wait. I feel like I need to look up the definition of... I don't care. He's got a condition where he can't see things properly.
it's not a disease. It's a condition, a mental health
Yeah.
condition, because it's been caused by the surgery,
Yeah.
allegedly. But
Mm-hmm.
she hinted towards having to do some sort of experiments to try and figure out certain things so that she can eventually find how to cure Fuminari, or whatever his name is. We'll see eventually. But
Main dude.
yeah. So I suspect she's going to do an experiment on this guy just because he was the nearest person to their house.
Well, this scene should be a lot of fun then.
Yes. Shall we get started then?
I can't wait.
Okay. Um, what happened to me? Yosuke's awareness returns slowly, as though rising from a bog. He's cold. No, hot. Something itches, like tepid tongues and cold slugs crawling over his skin.
I don't think tongues are itchy. Just saying.
Have you ever had a cat lick you?
That's a cat, though.
So, if it's a tongue that has kind of like that type of abrasiveness in its tongue,
Okay, I stand corrected.
that could be itchy. What the hell's going on? Timidly, he opens his eyes.
We're gonna get an... Oh.
Oh, what? It's everywhere. The thing that attacked him in the living room, it's everywhere. Terror shatters Yosuke's sanity. He throws off the thing lying atop him, but his wild flailing sends him crashing to the floor. But is it really the floor? The long, wriggling fibres of what should be the carpet are winding themselves around his fingers. The floor is made of worms. He tears his limbs free of the worms and tries to stand, but loses his balance and tumbles to the floor again. The worms immediately swarm over his body. Where am I? Where did that thing take me? Yosuke crawls across the worm-ridden floor toward the only exit from the pulsating room.
So my immediate thoughts are that Saya replicated the surgery on this guy.
Yeah, it looks like it. He's suffering the same issue as
Main dudes.
Fuminori. Yeah. When he gets outside, however, all he can see is blood, bile, and rotten meat. There's no place to run. Most terrifyingly of all, this hellish place has the same layout as Yosuke's house. In a half-mad daze, he wanders through the nightmarish mockery of his home. In the small room where his studio should be, he finds an easel made of bones displaying a blood-soaked canvas. Like some cruel joke, everything is exactly where it should be in Yosuke's studio. Howling, Yosuke lashes out against everything within reach.
Man, that's a lot of trashing about.
The easel of bone shatters, driving splinters into his fist. He feels the pain, but does not wake from nightmare. If this isn't a dream, then what is it? When his strength gives out, it's the new norm. When his strength gives out, Yosuke falls to his knees, sobbing. For the first time in his life, he prays. That is an awfully close-up of his face.
That's a pretty good one, though.
The sound of the door opening and closing grates on his ears.
Oh, gosh.
Downstairs, the front door. Is someone else here? I've got a bad feeling now. I think something really bad's gonna happen.
As opposed to anything else that's happened in this visual novel.
I've got a feeling. Right, well, I'll read on. Yosuke trembles at the blood-curdling sound. It's that thing again. The monster has returned.
Man, I don't know how they managed to make these like viscerally unpleasant.
With great care, I imagine.
It's because it's right in my fucking ears.
Yeah, headphones not ideal for this situation. Yosuke hears the sound of something slimy sloshing its way up the stairs. Even as he cowers in terror, he slides his trembling hand across the floor and grabs one of the bones from the broken easel. The tip of the bone is nice and sharp. If he holds it in both hands and puts his weight behind it, he might be able to use it to defend himself. The monster's growls are getting closer. Holding his breath, Yosuke presses his back against the wall next to the door. The pounding of his heart is like thunder in his ears, so loud that he fears the creature might hear it. He knows it will eat him if it finds him again, but it's all he can do to keep from crying. At last, the door creaks open. Repeat animation!
It's not even animation, it's just the same pictures. Oh,
Yosuke leaps on the creature as it enters, fear turning his roar into a high-pitched scream. The flesh beast is covered in sludge and vile juices, but before horror can paralyze him, Yosuke brings his bone stake stabbing down. The monster screams as the stake pierces its chest and punches through to the other side. It falls back, writhing in agony. The sight of its pain sets Yosuke's blood on fire. I can win. I can kill it. If I finish it off before it enters my head again, I'm safe. Yosuke grabs the bone and twists with all his might. The monster convulses and gurgles, its trembling tentacles reaching up as though begging for help. Yosuke knocks it to the floor, then brings his heel crashing down on its flopping body again and again. With each stomp, its groans and spasms grow weaker. When the monster at last stops twitching, Yosuke, panting hard, tears the stake from its corpse and rises to his feet. Something squeals. Yosuke turns around to see another, smaller monster peeking out at him from the stair landing. There's still one left. His desperate rage-filled attack both exhilarated him and gave him a taste for violence. This one will be easier, it's smaller and weaker.
Now, this is the moment when you go away from, like, self-defense. Because now he's thinking, oh, it's smaller and weaker. It'll be easier to kill.
Yeah. Grinning maniacally, Yosuke raises his stake and moves towards the second creature. The monster flees, screaming down the stairs. Not about to let his prey escape, Yosuke roars and gives chase. The thought that killing the monsters might end this nightmare feeds his savage bloodlust. When the monster trips and falls in the dining room, Yosuke leaps on top of it and brings the stake crashing down. His bloodlust unsated, he pulls it free, then drives it again into the monster's flesh. Once, twice, 3 times and more, until there is nothing left but shredded, pulverized meat. Eventually, the only sound in the house is Yosuke's heavy breathing. He has slain 2 monsters, but the nightmare shows no sign of ending. Yosuke staggers to the front door and goes outside. The sky, the city, everything has gone mad. Twisted shapes, nauseating colours, stinking air. There is no escape, no end to the nightmare. The last remnant of Yosuke's sanity vanishes like dust in the wind.
Oh boy.
Yosuke turns to the sound of a girl's voice. She is standing in front of the house next door, wearing a spotless one-piece over her pure white skin. In the midst of this filth-ridden world, she alone glows with beauty. Yosuke feels a sudden black lust rise within him. Yosuke walks up to the strangely jubilant girl and brushes his hand against her long, smooth hair.
I really don't like where this is going.
You don't like where it's going now?
Well, here's the thing, right? At least before I could attribute it to some kind of self-defense in a fit of crazed madness. But this is getting predatory, if you know what I mean.
I feel like this game has went, right, he's already past that line of no return. Now he's just total scum. She looks up at the man towering over her, perhaps disturbed by his hungry stare. Okay, no, this doesn't make sense.
What?
Like he's just suffered, I don't know, like a lot of mental stress from waking up like this and finding himself in a world of monsters. He finds a normal looking girl and the first thing he thinks is, how about we play a game, girl?
See what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but like...
Let's go.
A grin parts Yosuke's lips and he replies,
Man.
What? Is this just like, we're going to now show him to be a complete scumbag?
Well, I mean...
He's just... This guy is married with a kid, right? With that, he grabs the girl's collar and tears the front of her dress wide open. Shock and fear twist the lovely girl's delicate features, stimulating Yosuke's sadism. Even after killing those 2 monsters, the embers of violence still smoulder in his heart, and now they have new fuel to burn.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I this doesn't make sense. Unless...
It's not that it doesn't make sense. I think this actually does make sense. He's just lost his mind. But, come on. Like, seriously.
No, if he lost his mind, is this what he would like resort to? It's like, I'm going to assault a girl now.
He's just going around assaulting things. He killed his family without realizing it. And now, violence has given way to lust, as it said.
I don't. Okay.
Fucking hell, man.
I don't like that. What? Do you remember his little daughter?
Not very well, actually. I just remember that he had a daughter.
Cute little daughter who's calling Fuminori Oni-chan.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I want you to remember that. Totally annihilated that kid. The terrified girl flees into the Sakisaka house. Yosuke runs after her, feeling the joy of the hunt. Why is she so defenseless all of a sudden?
She's a girl.
Dude, she kidnapped this dude and
I know she did this to him, but I know what you mean. Let's see what happens. I don't know. Maybe it's...
Even in desperation, she has no hope of outrunning his longer stride. Yosuke charges down the hallway and catches up to her in the kitchen.
Unless we were mistaken about who did this to him.
No, but she said that the experiment seems to be a success.
Wasn't necessarily her who did it? Like, physically speaking?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Just saying, throwing a possibility out there. I don't know if it's true or not.
He grabs her from behind and wrestles her to the floor before she can resist. One second, I think that's someone at the door. I'm just going to pause this for a second, okay?
Yeah.
Right. And we're back. This is an interesting scene.
Well, it strikes me that this is obviously been censored, but they've deemed that the scene has to be kept in. Not like some of the earlier scenes where they could excise whole chunks of it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be important to the story. So,
plot critical, yeah.
Yeah, so. Enjoying the sensation of her thin arms struggling futilely against his grip, Yosuke uses his weight to hold her down while ripping off her remaining scraps of clothing. Yosuke stares at the smooth, perfect body of the girl flopping beneath him. The thought of violating such an immaculate creature amid the horrors of this twisted world is irresistibly erotic.
I didn't like this guy to begin with, and, honestly, the fuck happened to him?
This is just fucking What the fuck, man? What is this game? Yosuke runs his tongue over her stomach and chest as though preparing to eat her whole. She stiffens and whimpers at the sensation. That's weird. I mean, what were you I don't know what you were expecting, man.
Not this.
Her tear-choked voice satisfies Yosuke's lust for conquest. This nightmare has violated him, but now he is able to visit the same torment of the innocent girl. Where he was the victim, he is now the victimizer. The release, he feels, is intoxicating.
Why is that not voiced?
Mate! Fuminori!
That's Fuminori, right.
I told you it was Fuminori. What was I saying? I said Fuminori. The voices have just disappeared all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Ah ha ha ha. I haven't even done anything yet. I regret choosing to narrate this. Putting his mouth close to the sobbing girl's ear, Yosuke whispers, If you're this scared already, how will you scream when I put it in you?
If you're finding it this unpleasant to narrate, I can take over for this part.
Okay, I'll let you take over for this part.
Yeah. Oh, what the fuck?
This is gonna end it.
So this is Saya. This is him this is her saying, "Help me, Fuminori." Oh, never mind. Never
It's
mind.
all
You can
gone
carry on
now.
because
I know.
it's finished.
Thank God. As always, the sights of the city grate on my nerves. Today, however, I don't feel as much hatred as I usually do.
Oh, that's about to change.
I have grown more accustomed to my condition, but that is not the reason for today's high spirits. My search of the Ogai house has finally borne fruit. When I pulled all the drawers out of the desk in the study, I found an envelope stuck between the desk and the wall. It must have fallen off the back of the writing tray. Inside were 3 outdoor photographs. I couldn't recognise the scenery due to my condition, but I'm pretty sure that they show 3 buildings. Scrawled in the back of each photo was an address: Nagano Prefecture, M Village, Toji Prefecture, S Town, Shizuoka Prefecture, H Town. None of the names is familiar, so they must be way out in the countryside. The photos are all dated more than 10 years ago. I don't know why they were taken or what they mean, but maybe Saya will be able to make some sense of them.
Hope, but...
In any case, this is something that even Saya missed while she was living in that house. I wonder how she'll react when I show her what I've found. Saya. I want so badly to see her. The thought of her waiting for me speeds my footsteps. When I step through the gate, I see that the front door is wide open again. This is the second time this has happened. Upon entering the house this time, however, the sound of Saya crying chills my blood. And it's not just her. I also hear a low, wet grunting. There's no time to take off my shoes. I race down the hallway, propelled by a terrifying premonition.
You know, I actually wondered what he would see Yosuke as.
So he sees Yosuke as a monster already.
Yeah, but for some reason I kind of had the thought that maybe he would see Yosuke as a person.
That would be an interesting twist. If it
But
turns
clearly
out
he can't.
no.
Yeah.
A monster is in my house and it's attacking Saya. The filth oozing from its body spreads across her skin as it moves with animal ferocity. She looks at me with tear-filled eyes and calls my name in a weak, breathless voice. Rage erupts inside me like black lava. The monster stops gorging itself on Saya's body and turns its head to look at me. Surprised by my own composure, I slip past it and grab the meat cleaver sitting next to the sink. Without a moment's hesitation, I slash at the monster's face. It screams and staggers away from Saya. My attack must have blinded it, because it flails its tentacles wildly as it tries to drive me away. My bloodlust still unsated, I calmly seize one of the appendages and plunge my weapon twice more into its quivering flesh. The blade enters its body with fascinating ease. Each strike sprays my face with its blood. As I carve the monster to pieces and savour its hideous screams, my mind is finally consumed by rage. No mercy, I see this monster suffer for what's done to Saya. I give myself to the fury, howling at the top of my lungs as I slash and slash and slash and slash. Even after the flesh piece stops moving, I keep slashing until I realise that I can no longer feel pain.
I swear to you that voice clip sounded like Keiichi Maebara from Higurashi.
Oh shit. Oh, it does. I was just going to say it sounds like a geeky guy losing his shit.
Well, that's what it is, but still.
Cursing myself for killing it so quickly, I stab the cleaver into the floor, snapping it in half.
Yeah, you killed it. Like, just celebrate with that.
He wanted to torture it more because of what it was attempting to or what it had done.
At that point, you've lost sight of what you're trying to do, which is save Saya.
I mean, yeah, but revenge does that and anger and stuff. When my thoughts finally begin to regain some cohesion, I find myself still digging the broken knife into the floor. The monster is gone, but pieces of it are scattered everywhere. I stop cutting into the tile, and in the sudden silence I hear Saya's faint sobs coming from a corner of the kitchen.
Saya.
I pull the cowering Saya into my arms. She stiffens in fear at first, but as soon as she realizes that it's me, she clings to my body and cries.
Fuminori! Fuminori!
I don't know what to say. I can only keep holding her. This should never have happened to Saya. Everything in this twisted world is to blame. Yes, including myself. I couldn't protect her. If I'd been here, then maybe I could have prevented this. She says again and again in a voice choked with tears. Not wanting to hear that from her, I pull her head into my chest. I try to reassure her, but she shakes her head vigorously in denial.
What is she saying?
So I was going to say, right, I didn't want to say anything, but really this is her fault? She did the experiment on the guy, which turned him into this?
I know, but like, it's not her fault that the guy did what he did. It's just it's only that she inflicted a certain condition on him. At that point, you wouldn't know how he'd react.
Some might say that this might be repayment for what she caused him to do to his family.
I'm not even sure.
Karma, man, karma.
That's dark.
Well, I mean, because of her and her experiment, he viciously murdered his wife and child.
Yeah.
And remember, she did eat
animals and apparently Omi.
Omi, yeah. So I'm, you know, I definitely feel bad. This is shit. But, you know, it's tinged with the thought that he's kind of caused the death of a few people.
Shades of grey.
Yeah, shades of grey. I'm not justifying this, but I'm just like, everyone is shit in this freaking game. That's what I think. But I think that's what she's coming from when she says I did this, because she started the chain reaction that caused this to happen in the end. I don't understand. What is she saying?
Oh, hey.
It takes me some time to understand the meaning of Saya's words. Finally regaining her composure, Saya responds to my confusion in a low voice.
Like, how?
I've just had a thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know how she's been running around the hospital, messing with people?
Yeah.
Now, I think there's a slim chance of this, but maybe she did something to him when he was recovering and caused this issue, potentially?
He was the first person who didn't see her as a monster. That's all I remember.
True, but like there is the possibility that she did something to him.
Always is, yeah.
Oh, confirmed. Wait.
Is it a stand ability?
Is she the one that was used in his operation to save him?
Wait, what?
So, there's a doctor at the hospital that he was recovering at. She is able to mess with people's minds. He comes in with a neurological issue or whatever it is, something wrong with his brain because of the car crash that he suffered. They are doing an experimental procedure to fix his brain.
Yeah.
She says that I've had this ability since I was born, to mess with people's brains. Could she have been what they used to fix, like to try and fix his brain after his accident?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. You're saying that instead of a surgery, they used her to do whatever?
Yes.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it does seem far-fetched, but...
の生き物によってまちまちだから、ちゃんと文則の脳に何があったのか私は下調べして分かってたから。だから同じことができるかどうか他の人で実験してみたの。
I mean, that's real bad.
Yeah, I feel like, but morality seems to not exist in this household, so...
Nah. Yeah, that's true.
そんなことを。
そうすればみんな文則みたいに私に優しくしてくれるようになるかと思って。
Wait, did she do this for selfish reasons?
Well, it seems like the another side effect of this condition is that it just seems to instill some kind of lust towards her.
Yeah.
Because while it is somewhat controlled, let's not forget that Fuminori is also in that sort of state.
Yeah. Oh. My heart aches at the loneliness in her voice as she confesses her sorrowful wish.
それなのにこの人は全然優しくなんかなかった。さやのことをいじめたいって壊したいって言ってあんな。
She starts crying into my chest again, unable to say any more. I gently rub her back while trying to get my jumbled thoughts together. What is Saya that she can do such a thing? The answer is beyond me. However, there's one thing that I can answer here and now. Saya's mistaken.
僕がさやに優しいのは僕が事故に遭ったからだって、そう君は思ったんだね。
She nods sadly. I smile and shake my head.
違うよ。それはただの始まりでしかない。そんな簡単なことじゃないんだよ。
I have doubts. I don't trust this guy.
それから二人で過ごした時間の。
I'd like to say that he's on the nicer side of things, but she's still underage, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, like... I don't know, man.
文則。
あの日から今日までさやと一緒にいた僕だから、さやに優しくして大切にしてあげたいって、そう思う僕になった。そう思われるさやになったんだ。これって大変なことだろう。
Saya is still crying, but now her tears feel warm against my chest.
分かってる。さっきやっと分かった。
Her smile shines through her tears.
さやには文則しかいないんだって。文則みたいな人はもう他に誰もいないんだって。
All of this sounds really bad. This sounds like a very parasitic kind of relationship. He's like, I care for you, you know, these other people I don't know, but my love is real. And she's like, I don't have anyone else, I can only love you, you're the only person in my life.
It would be adorable if it wasn't so fucked up, and I feel like I've said that already.
Maybe this is just taking the tropes that you get in a lot of VNs and games and like twisting it with these two, with this pairing of characters.
Fair
Like,
enough.
I wonder. Now more than ever before, I feel the depth of the bond between us, and I'm sure that Saya feels it too. I wrap my arms tightly around her and seal her lips with mine. Saya responds, winding her arms around my neck as our tongues desperately seek each other's warmth. That last line was definitely not needed. At this moment, Saya is my whole world, and I am hers. The earth turns for us alone. Of course, I still haven't told her something very important. I don't know why I've never said it before. Perhaps because it was always so obvious. However, I put it into words at least once. This oath of mine.
さや、僕は君のことが。
待って。
She stops me with a finger against my lips. Not cliché.
何？
Question: is this just supposed to be hair, or do you think these are like cat ear things?
It's definitely supposed to look like cat ears, but it's hair.
I'm wondering if they are, because you never... I don't know, it's such a weird hairstyle.
It looks like cat ears to me. It's not. It isn't cat ears. I can tell just by looking at it, but it's supposed to be reminiscent of that.
That just generally worries me. It's like, I can't take this seriously when they've given her freaking cat ears, man.
Oh, don't take it seriously then.
Oh, obviously I'm taking the other stuff seriously because it's freaking crazy. Never mind. this game, man. Saya nods, staring into my eyes with unusual solemnity.
さっきも言ったけど、私には私にしかできない方法で生き物の体に干渉できる。
And it's at this moment that the very immature one in me says, I wish for a gigantic penis.
I'm just half expecting to say, I can affect things, I use love. And that's when I would just fucking cringe.
人間の脳をいじる方法もこれでちゃんと確認が取れたわ。
I'm going to manipulate yours for my benefit.
That she's become a master surgeon in a few days.
Or
maybe a few months.
I mean, she is weird. It's possible, man. I mean, the fact that she could do that straight away. I know she's been doing it her whole life. That's what she said. She knew she could do it from a young age or something. Or she's always been able to do it. Saya pauses and takes a deep breath before continuing.
今ならあなたの頭を元の状態に戻すこともできるの。
That would be nice.
Until now, that hasn't even been in the realm of possibility.
その人にやったのと逆のことを文則にしてあげればいいだけ。
Is that how brain damage works? Just undo it. Control Z.
She's got like the world's version of Photoshop for brains.
Basically.
So, yeah, like she's like, it's easy, man. I just use this tool. I draw a couple of lines between neurons, bish bash bosh, right? And if I take this one out, it makes them think like you. No, it's not easy. Control Z, undo it, done. I replay Saya's words in my head to be sure of their meaning.
だから文則、教えて。あなたが昔の暮らしに戻りたいかどうか。あの事故で失ったものを取り戻したいのかどうか。
Oh shit.
There are options. There hasn't been any until this point.
Wait a minute. Alright, I got a fright there.
How did that happen?
I don't know. You bet your arse I'm gonna save scum here.
Alright, well.
Right. I
That's
want it all back, right?
Is that a good ending?
I feel like the in quotes correct route is to say I don't need it anymore. I just have you, Saya. You are my life now.
Let's go with I want it all back.
Was that a good ending?
I don't know. I'm confused. What do you think?
I want to do the one that has the shortest ending first, because I want to then do the other one and get the what I expect to be the correct ending, which will be the longer one where more stuff happens. I don't know how this game plays out though. I feel like this is the thing that the visual novel's hinting towards. I don't need it anymore. I have you, Saya. I have everything. But I want it all back. Let's do it. Go for want it all back.
And then we'll just play the other route afterwards.
戻れるっていうのなら元に戻りたいと
Oh, I wonder if this is one of those non-choices where it just directs you down the same path anyway.
That would be extremely fucking annoying. I've never wondered if there could be any other answer. I stopped dwelling on this question a long time ago, and if I'd been asked before I met Saya, I wouldn't have hesitated. But what about now? What does it mean to wish for the past, and what could it do to me and Saya? As soon as these questions occur to me, my true feelings become unclear. The hurried answer I just gave her was less certain than I thought.
そうそうよね当たり前よね
Saya smiled softly, her expression an unreadable mixture of what seemed to be sorrow and relief. Seeing it fills me with a sudden unease, as though I've just wounded her deeply with my careless words.
なさや、僕は。
いいの海のりもう何も言わないで
Oh, this feels like a bad ending.
Saya silences me with another kiss, and thrusts her tongue into my mouth with even greater passion than before.
Do you want me to take over?
No, it's fine. As the sweet softness of her tongue clouds my mind, I begin to feel an urgent need to piss. No, I'm just kidding. I begin to feel an urgent need to say what she prevented me from saying, to speak those most important words.
さや。
I can't speak for some reason, and my mind is hazy. My consciousness is slipping away as the euphoria from her kiss spreads to my entire body. Wait, is this how she does the surgery?
Oh,
おやすみなさい
right.
Oh no, she's
Yeah.
just apparently that's how she gives out freaking knockout gas or whatever.
Well, it's how she changes the body, right? It's supposed to be some kind of magic power.
Well, she's putting him to sleep, so apparently her tongue can release something that knocks you out. That's impressive.
That's quite a limber tongue.
Well, I was thinking more that there's a chemical it releases rather than it's. I don't know what you'd think it would have to do to put you to sleep. I hear Saya whisper softly from far away.
心配しないで次に目が覚める時には何もかもが終わっているから
Do I have to click a second time?
Probably.
I clicked a second time and nothing happened. Have I crashed the game?
No. Keep.
I'll click a third time. Okay. Wait. I have to tell you something before I sleep. Just one thing. My efforts are meaningless, however, as oblivion calls me into its embrace.
Ooh.
When I awoke, the first thing that greeted me was a terrible stink. Mr. Suzumi's body was covered in flies, and I could smell the rotten stench that you would expect from a corpse. The night had ended, but Saya was nowhere to be seen in the morning light. Aside from the blood-covered floor, the kitchen looked the same as it had been before the accident. In the den, however, the colours that had been so soothing the day before now served as a stark reminder of what a distant world I'd been living in. Despite knowing that it would be futile, I wandered the house searching for Saya. For almost an hour I tried in vain to deny reality. At least this area looks nice. Then I called the police. When the operator answered, I couldn't stop myself from crying. It had been such a long time since I heard a human voice other than Saya's. Oh, look at that. Looks nice. It's never looked like this. We've never seen it in this light, have we?
No, this is all new to us.
As became clear later, Mr. Suzumi had murdered his family before I killed him. Unable to give the police a satisfactory explanation, I was arrested for all 3 murders. And when they found the remains of Takahata Omi in my house, a 4th was added to the charges. Wait a minute. You just got arrested for the 3 murders? The fuck? During my interrogation, I told them everything exactly as it had happened in every detail. The detectives didn't believe me, of course, but the doctor who came later did. He had me moved from the jail to a much cleaner white room. That's right, this room looks just as white to me as it does to everyone else. In the end, they declared me incapable of answering for my actions. Everything that had happened to me was real, but part of a reality incompatible with the rest of the world. The doctors gave me a space all to myself, a place where I could live in my own world. I am sad that I wasn't believed, but I know that it couldn't be helped. In this world, reality is what the majority say it is, and I had the misfortune to step outside of that box. The walls of my room are undeniably white. That, at least, I can be thankful for as I live out the rest of my life here. Everyone said that there was never any girl named Saya. Well, so be it. Saya probably was never part of their world. But why shouldn't I be able to hear Saya's voice here, in my room? This is my world, after all, a continuation of the very real time that we spent together. How long did I wait with such thoughts floating through my mind? Oh, here we go, guys. We're gonna have the
bad ending. This feels like a bad ending to me.
We're gonna have the big reunion, guys. The big reunion. One night I awoke to the sound of something crawling down the hallway. The sound would not normally have woken me, but I must have had a premonition that night. Sleeping later than usual, I had waited for her arrival, so I knew instantly that it was her.
Saya なんだね。
She did not answer, but I could feel her outside my door, struggling with some internal conflict.
なあ、どうして声を聞かせてくれないんだ。
After a long silence, something small slid through the narrow bars of my peephole. It was a cell phone, the screen already showing a notepad with freshly entered text. My voice will sound strange to you.
For fucking 1998 or something, right? That's well advanced for a phone.
Is it?
Look at it, it's a flip phone.
They were more advanced in Japan at the time, weren't they?
This much? Like we had the fucking like 3310 in 2001 or 2, right?
I feel like they were like a lot more advanced in phones at one point. But I don't know that. I mean, that's not a color screen. It looks a bit. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't suppress a chuckle at Saya's uncharacteristic display of shyness.
そんなこと、僕は全然気にならないよ。君の声が聞きたい。姿が見たい。
After a short pause, the phone returned to my side. Please let me stay the Saya you remember.
そうか。
I'd started to suspect that it might be so. In the hell my eyes had made of the world, Saya alone had looked normal. I'd thought that she was somehow unique. In truth, however, she'd probably been a different kind of unique than I'd imagined. It wasn't that my senses hadn't distorted her appearance, but that she had been so unusual as to seem normal to my twisted mind.
This is what you were saying from the beginning.
Yep, called it. Saya's true form was not something other than what I'd known. Now, however, I could see her as she really was. But Saya didn't want that, and it was not for me to question the workings of her heart. I just had to accept that girls need to keep some things private. Is this what we're going with? Girls need
I mean...
あの日君に言おうとしてたこと、保留になってたの、覚えてる。
I slid the phone back to her. I was hoping you'd forgotten. I smiled wryly at the text on the screen, wondering if she really thought me so heartless.
忘れたりするもんか。
No one was listening. But still, it would have been embarrassing to speak the rest aloud, so this time I typed it into the phone. G-H-I...
Remember T9?
What the fuck is this?
No, you know when you have to press the same key 3 times because it's just a numpad?
Yeah, but HIJKMNO TV.
It's I love you. Look.
Oh.
See?
Oh, nice spot. Nice spot. Why can... God, this game. I slid the phone back through the slot. I could sense her trembling outside my door. I couldn't hear her or see her, but still, I knew. Saya was crying.
僕は構わなかったんだよ。
Perhaps my words offered no comfort, spoken so late. Even so, I was ready. I had wanted to return to my old life, true, but I would have abandoned that wish for Saya. I know that I would have gone with her, hand in hand, as far as we could, even to the most forbidden of places. Saya too must have known that I was prepared, and because she knew, she stopped me from saying those words. If I had spoken that oath, there would have been no going back. I'm sorry, I was a coward. Seeing the words on the screen, I shook my head.
君だけが悪いんじゃない。あの時僕に迷いがなければ、君だって勇気を出せた。そうだろう。
I was afraid of you, of how you were changing because of me.
仕方ないさ。
I couldn't bring herself to take everything from me, and I couldn't bring myself to give up everything for her. We were too weak to find happiness.
さやはこれからどうするんだい？
I'll keep searching for my dad. He'll know how to send me back to where I came from. What? What?
That's a new one.
そうか。帰りたいんだね、さやは。
Interesting. I didn't suspect that she was like taking from
An alien
yeah.
or a dimensional being or something.
A short time passed with no words or messages exchanged. I wondered how many times in that brief silence yes and no changed places in her mind. Yeah. When the phone finally returned, the characters on the screen seemed strangely uncertain.
そうか。お父さん、見つかるといいね。
I'll do my best. The time had come for our parting. She had chosen her path, and I had given my blessing. There was nothing more to be said.
もしも気が変わったら、僕はずっとここにいるから、いつでも来ていいからね。
Yeah, I'm sure it's very easy for her to break into a prison to come and see you without being spotted.
Isn't it a hospital? Like, well, prison, I suppose. Yeah, but
I mean, mental hospital, yeah.
yeah, he's basically been sectioned.
Either way, it's not easy to get in, so like, he's like,
Yeah.
just come visit me whenever. Just... I will, thank you. Goodbye, Fuminori. I read her final message and returned the phone to the other side.
さよなら、さや。
Sayonara, Sara. Sayonara, Sara. Oh, whoa, that's a tongue twister. Sayonara,
Sayonara,
Saya.
Saya.
Sayonara, Saya.
Yeah.
She gently slapped my door in response, and then I heard the sound of her sliding off down the hallway.
Sliding.
And I was left alone in the silence of the night.
In some ways, this feels like a good ending.
Ever since that day, I have been waiting. Perhaps Saya really did return to where she came from. Perhaps she is still wandering today, looking for her father. It must be hard. She must be lonely. When she can no longer stand being alone, she will surely return to me. I am the only one who will comfort her, whisper sweet nothings in her ear socket thing. Look at this guy manspreading.
He's got all the space in the world.
And so I wait, dreaming of her face and her voice. I wait. Forever in my white world.
Yeah, this was like a good, bad ending. Or rather, like, he got back to normal.
Wait, how do I skip this?
You don't.
So, what did you think of that? Yeah, that was definitely the alternate ending.
Yeah, I liked it, to be fair. I mean, this ending feels quite fitting, if you ask me.
It's the ending I would have chosen in real life.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'd have chosen it in real life. If I was Fuminori and I was that desperate, I think I would just be like, nah, I want to be with this girl.
I don't know what she looks like without the makeup on, boys.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah,
I'm
just...
surprised this has vocals.
Yeah, I hope I don't get freaking content freaking
Copyright
claimed over.
strike.
Yeah. Some music are in here, you're gonna get in trouble, blah blah blah
It's
blah
fine.
blah.
Even if they do like a content claim, you could just like mute it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm singing over the song really badly.
You can leave it, it's fine.
Wait, how'd I get past this, man?
Huh? You just wait for it. It's credits.
I feel like usually you'd be able to click and you can skip them a lot of times.
I don't think so. I haven't played enough visual novels to know for certain.
I apologize, I'm just gonna eat my burger. I'd be quite happy with that ending, to be fair. If that was like the official ending.
I feel it isn't.
I agree.
I have a sneaking suspicion because you were, as you said during the game itself, that the second option was the one that they intended you to choose.
Yeah, so I think I chose the right option because I wanted to choose the, in quotes, alternate ending, not
like
the
you
true
said,
ending.
the shorter one.
Yeah.
And so we can always refer back to this and say, Fuminori, you prick, you could have gotten out.
Yes. So... Shit, I can't save.
Why can you... No, why would you be able to save? You just need to load your last save, which was the one where you had the choice.
Okay.
But here's the thing. How about if we end it here and we can make the next episode
Yes, I was thinking
the one
that.
where we continue?
Yeah, so this was the alternate ending for No Uta. I like this ending. I think it was the one that probably ended in less, I don't know, tragedy, yeah, for everyone involved. Like, it's unfortunate that Fuminori got like blamed for all. Like he wasn't responsible for any of the murders. Now that I think about it, so this is actually extremely unfair on him.
Well, I would say that
he ate a little bit of Omi, right? So yes, get in trouble for that. But I feel he wasn't responsible for her death. That was even though she came to see him, that was Saya. The experiment on Yosuke, or the neighbor, Yosuke, was her idea, and then he killed everyone. And so the only person he did kill was Yosuke, but that was in self-defense.
But I'd still go so far as to say that this was a good ending for Fuminori.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see next time what happens when we choose the nuclear option of no, Saya, I want to live and die with you. So, anyone who's watching this, hope you were moderately entertained at least.
You have the chance to get off the wild ride.
Run away.
And not experience the crazy bullshit that Fuminori and Saya will potentially get up to.
Run away now. But yeah, if you want, you can stay tuned for the next video where we will go through what I think will be the true ending. So see you next time.
I recommend diving deep.
Deep. Well, I'm Ashman.
I'm Cooksell.
And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Ta.